Hi guys, happy Monday. Hope everybody is doing well, staying safe and healthy. I wanted to give you guys an update on how my C300 claim panned out with Turo. If you watched my recent video, this is where my AMG rims and my tires were stolen while the car was parked at my renter's house in a gated community, and the car was left on bricks. So this was a first for me in all my years of doing this, and it was definitely an interesting claim. I will link that video to the end of this video in case you want to see what happened. I got some really good footage on it, and it's fascinating how crazy and wild people are out there. And before I jump into it, if you guys like this channel, please be sure to subscribe. I'm really trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, hopefully within the next month, so that I can share more of my day-to-day Turo life with you guys through YouTube stories. All right, so let's get into it. The incident took place on March 20th, which was a Friday. Renter notified me right away as soon as he woke up and went into his garage, saw the car sitting on bricks. He messaged me right away, so everything was well documented. Immediately, I directed him to contact support. I gave him Turo's emergency roadside number that they have for instances like this. So he tried to get in touch with them. Unfortunately, during Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, both him and I were not really able to get any support from Turo. But also, in hindsight, kind of looking back at this is also, I guess, sort of the time period where Turo has been going through a lot of restructuring in their organization and probably had to really implement a lot of changes to their teams because of the crisis that we're in and the large amount of layoffs that they were experiencing. So it's kind of understandable. Usually in these scenarios, I'm able to troubleshoot these issues kind of by myself, because if it's some kind of damage or issue, you set up a tow and get the car taken to the shop. But this instance, the car was missing wheels and tires, so I could not direct my renter on getting a tow and getting the car moved. So it was just a really different situation, and I wanted to see what Turo had in place to support an issue like this. So we didn't hear back anything from them over the weekend. Over the weekend, I filed the damage claim because I wanted to get it in for first thing Monday, because that's usually, if something happens over the weekend, you'll hear back from them during the week. Simultaneously, my renter actually ended up filing a claim as well, so we kind of did it at the same time. My renter took the initiative and filed a police report as well with Irvine PD. I had a chance to talk to Irvine PD as well, and we came to find out that this is a crime ring that's been going on for a couple of years now, and that these people are professionals in doing this. And my car wasn't the only one that experienced this in that complex. There was a few other Mercedes Benzes that had AMG rims as well that experienced the same exact thing. And from my understanding, it's because these AMG rims specifically are made out of magnesium, so they're really lightweight and durable, and they are expensive, which I did not know. All right, so after that, Monday the 23rd is when I heard back from my claims agent. They came back with me with the initial estimate and actually the initial payout as well, which the initial estimate came out to around $2,400. Now, don't be alarmed when you see that first estimate and it ends up being lower than what the actual cost is. This is very normal. This happens almost every single time, so just bear with the process. So when that happens, what you want to do, what I usually do, is I take a proactive approach and I get an estimate done in advance. So that weekend, I grabbed photos of the car. I sent the pictures out to my wheel and tire service provider, got the estimate, and I was shocked to see how expensive these rims and tires were. I really had no idea. They're a little over $7,000. So when that first supplement came back, or that first estimate came back, I had my service provider go ahead and submit the supplement for the remainder of the amount. Now, something to understand is that as time goes on, Turo's claims process is going to get more and more systemized, and they're going to get stricter, right? Because they don't want anyone taking advantage of the system. Now, I think towards the end of last year, they implemented a new set of rules where, for one, as a host, when you submit a claim, You also have to have a form of payment on file, because if you're submitting a fraudulent claim, they can fine you for that. And so they're really trying to eliminate people filing fraudulent claims and trying to profit off the claims process, which is, I think, something that happened a lot early on in the early Turo days and probably cost them a lot of money. And as we all know, insurance and claims is probably the biggest expense that Turo has. So when you have a claim of this nature and it's so large, I think that they pay extra close attention and they verify everything, because they want to make sure that whatever they're paying out does actually go towards what needs to be replaced or repaired. So in this instance, they did get in touch with my service provider. They verified the wheels and the tires, and they made sure that that is what was going to be put onto the car. Now, in the last video, a lot of people said that, I can just put some other rims on it, I can put replicas on it, but in this instance, none of those things were an option for me, because this car is a lease. And I did sign a document at the time of leasing this car specifically that stated I had to return this vehicle with the exact rims and tires that I received it with. And for obvious reasons, because they are very expensive. And given that my lease is also ending pretty soon here, the last thing I wanted to happen was to return this car and then get hit with a bill for not having the proper rims and tires on the car. So I definitely did not want to get stuck with that, and just wanted to replace it for what it was and return it back the way that I got it. I just didn't want that liability. And another thing is, when you do go through that process, you want to make sure that you are doing what the car requires in terms of replacements or repairs, because oftentimes when you request Turo to relist your vehicle, they will ask for proof of the repairs. So it could be in the form of photos and receipts. So they want to double check that you are in fact doing what you're supposed to be doing and maintaining your cars in the right way. So you can't really scam the system, and you don't want to get caught up in that, because they could absolutely delist you for that and kick you off the platform, and it's just not worth it. It really is just not worth it. So I had my service provider submit the supplement on the 23rd. The rest of the supplement was paid out on the 30th, and I was able to get my car relisted on April 1st. So it was about 11 to 12 days for kind of the whole process. Now I actually have a second supplement that had to be filed, because when the car was lifted off the bricks, it did damage the rocker panels. So I'm currently going through that process right now, but I'm not too worried about that, because at least the way the car sits right now, it can be rented out. Now, in the last video, a lot of people also said that you should put wheel locks on it. In this case, wheel locks would have not made any difference. All these people were professionals. You can get the keys to those wheel locks so easily, and there's so many tools out there that can allow you to take those wheel locks off. Given that this wasn't just some sort of like random act, some type of organized crime, these people definitely knew what they were doing, and whether that car had wheel locks on it or not would have not made a difference, from my understanding after talking to the cops who have seen this happen many times. So that's really unfortunate that we had to go through this, but it's all said and done now. And finally, I just kind of want to end on this note. As always, I can only share with you guys what my experiences are. And if you go back and look on my channel, I actually have a playlist where I have all of my claims videos, and I have been documenting my Turo claims process for many years since I've been on the platform. And if you've seen my older videos, you know that I've been through everything from basic curb rash to cars getting totaled to cars coming back with burned out tires, and the whole right side of a car being taken out because somebody decided to do donuts. So I've really been through it all. And what I can say in my many years of doing this and filing claims is that 99% of the time, I have had a good experience with claims. My cars have always been taken care of, and my claims have always been paid out properly. I have not had issues with claims. There have been rare occasions, very rare occasions, where maybe a claim wasn't paid out and it was on something minor. And if I'm being 100% truthful, it's because my photos were not clear, and you could not clearly see the before and after, which if something like that happens, then you have to, go to a backup plan and try to resolve it with your renter, which in those cases I had to. So I would say that, I get so many messages from people who this seems to be their biggest complaint, is that their claims are not being paid out. And I've noticed that whenever I ask these people to send me what your before and after photos were and what the damages were, that's where the conversation always goes cold. So I can almost for certain say that the reason why your claims aren't being paid out is because you do not have proper documentation. And that's why I've made so many videos on how to take proper photos of your car, because even when you think you're being detailed, it's not detailed enough. That's just how you should have it in your mind. You have to go so far and be so detailed, because that's really the only precaution that you can take to ensure that your claims are going to be taken care of. 10, 15, 20 photos, it's really not enough. It just isn't, right? You need to really have like 50 photos of each reservation going in and going out, and they have to be uploaded at the right time. You can't take your check-in photos and you're 3 days into your reservation and then upload it, because that doesn't follow their process and their guidelines. And they could very well say that because you didn't upload it at the right time, your claim is denied. And I mean, how can you argue that if that's what their system is? So you really need to familiarize yourself with what their guidelines are, what their rules are, when your photos need to be uploaded, when you need to upload your photos after a checkout, and making sure that you're doing these things within the right time frame. If you're doing virtual handoffs that are not on the Turo Go platform, you have to make sure that you're validating people's IDs. You have to make sure that they're sending you a selfie with their driver's license so that you can prove that it was actually the renter who took your car, because that's another reason why a claim could be denied if you can't prove that that person took your car. So just all these little things are so important, and you have to be so thorough. And I cannot say that enough. And please go back and watch my videos where I show you how to properly take photos. And then also be aware of the cars that you have and the type of damage that they are susceptible to occur on those cars. For example, my Corvettes are notorious for getting dinged on the front, right and left corner of the bumper for whatever reason. It's probably because the body of the car in the front is so long and people can't estimate the space that they have, and so that's where it gets hit. So I always make sure that I get really clear photos of those areas underneath the front bumper lip, because it always gets scraped. So really pay attention to your cars and learn them so that you know what type of photos you should take, and you know what type of damage they're susceptible to, so that you can document it properly. And then I would say another reason why people get claims that they're unhappy with the results is because they have pre-existing damage, and then new damage occurs either on top or near that pre-existing damage. And then Turo will evaluate how much that pre-existing damage costed, and they'll minus that from what the claim is. And there's almost always a discrepancy there between claims and what the host thinks they should get paid out. So of course you're going to end up unhappy. And the only resolve to that is to maintain your cars, repair them, make sure that they're fixed, so that when these claims happen, these damages happen, which are inevitable over time. It's going to happen no matter what, that you don't find yourself in a messy situation and then you take on more financial liability and risk. So you just want that to happen. And finally, be really aware of which insurance package you're on and what coverage you have. I get a lot of messages where people are on the basic coverage and then they're shocked to find out that there is a deductible and that they're responsible for that portion of the cost. And usually their response to me is, well, the renter should be responsible because they caused the damage, but that's not how it works. So you really have to understand how these insurance packages work and what your coverage is. Another one is on the standard protection. People are surprised to find out when, they get a little curb rash or a little ding or a little scratch on the car, but it measures under 3 inches, that they don't have coverage. And it's very clearly stated in the guidelines that if it's anything anything under 3 inches, it's not covered. So please just really take the time to know exactly what your coverage is. And if you follow the system, I promise you, your claims are going to be taken care of. I mean, you can watch my countless of videos of all the horrific things that my cars have been through, and they've all been okay, and they've all been able to get repaired and be back on the road. So really just take a lot of pay a lot of close attention to exactly what you need to be doing. All right, so on that note, I'm going to end it right here. Thanks again for watching, guys. I just wanted to update you on how this panned out. So everything was good to go on this claim. Other than that, that is it for me. And again, if you guys get a chance to subscribe to this channel, please do. I would super appreciate the support. And I'm actually going to post some links in my description down below of how to take proper photos and some other claims videos that I think you guys would find interesting. All right, guys, take care, stay healthy, stay indoors, and take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.